Welcome to episode 10 of The Streak. I'm your host, Tim McDonough, joined as always by former Defiance baseball mentor, Tom Held, current Defiance baseball head coach, Rick Weaver, and longtime co head coach. And we've got some familiar faces if you've been around the program for a while. We've got Nate Marroquin, we've got Lenny Grove, former Defiance Crescent News reporter, and a couple of radio guys you may know, Tim Shortgen and Adam Gubernath. Guys, welcome to the show. Our last one, episode 10 of The Streak. We ended it last week or a couple weeks ago with the class of 2014, but thought we'd bring you guys on to talk about some memories that you guys remember during the streak and just have a little bit of fun. Thanks for being here.
Thanks
Good
for
to be
having
here.
us.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Good to be here.
So we were just talking a little bit before we started the recording here. So Adam, when was the first year that you started doing Defiance baseball on the radio with Shorty?
It would have been, if I remember right, it would have been the summer that Tom got the job, and we did Acme. And I don't, Tom, I don't know if you remember this. We went down to Coldwater, and you guys, it was like on it's either a Saturday or a Sunday. And I don't remember if you'd won or lost your first game, but then there was like a game delay in between. And then I went up, and I had known you before, but was really starting to get to know you. And I said, and we were talking everything, and I said, man, that's really cool of you because you let your kids go swimming in between the games. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I saw Jason Hollifield on top of the high dive over at the pool next to the diamond, and he was doing flips off there. And that's how we kicked off our coverage of Defiance baseball.
I think it was Jason Halfield and Chris Owens, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a couple of them. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. You let your kids in between games go swimming at the pool, and that was not the case. And so
That really shocked
we
us.
started doing it right when Tom got the job. When we started that summer, and we did it ever since.
Wow. So Shorty, did you join then, or were you doing games before that?
Yeah, I was doing
Yeah.
well. I had got done coaching football with Jerry and stuff, and that was the same year that Greg left, and then Tom took the job, and I knew I was I was done, and I was gonna kind of kick over to radio and do football. We did basketball, and all of them, but it was actually kind of, I guess, special for me anyways, because Tom and I had known each other, for quite a long time and played with, at DC together and so forth. So, I mean, it was kind of I wanted to see just how the old right-hander was going to fit in over here. And, obviously that was a long run. And, I was really happy for him when he got that job and took it. And, because I knew that following Greg wasn't going to be easy, but somebody that I knew that was going to be able to do it was going to be Tom.
All right, so Nate, we were talking a little bit before we started recording here too. So you said that you started part-time PA announcing in '94. Is that right?
Yes, actually, the first time I ever did anything baseball-wise at Defiance was the last game of the class of '94, my senior year. And I got to read the starting lineup for the final senior home game that year. And then starting from the summer of '94 on, I've been with Defiance Baseball ever since. The first 4 years or so varsity seasons, I split PA duties with Randy Ward, who I miss to this day. Rest in heaven, Randy. But from that point on, I've been doing baseball ever since, and starting in 2026, my 33rd year of being behind the mic for baseball games here at Defiance.
Nice. Now, Lenny, obviously we worked together for quite a few years at the Crescent News. I really wanted you to be on here tonight because you were there in 2014 when Wapakoneta came to Booster Field and snapped the streak. But we were texting and so forth before this. I just want you to tell me what your biggest memory was of that game, because you were cracking me up what you were saying about Jason Brandt about the weather. So
Oh, I gotta hear that.
It was a stormy night, and I think everybody going into the night had kind of a inclination that it could
be called early or it would not be a complete game. And I can't remember if there was some lightning pregame or not, but it was in the bottom of the seventh when the Defiance was still batting, and there was a lightning strike way over, had to be over by Ayersville. And I remember Coach Brandt. Hope Coach isn't listening to this or watching.
Oh, he'll be
Oh,
listening.
he
Oh,
Oh, he
subscribes.
will be.
He
Doesn't
listens
matter.
every week.
But he came running out of the dugout, just waving his arms, pointing that way, because I think he knew that they were in a little bit of trouble. If I remember right, it started sprinkling a little bit, and their pitcher had kind of lost control a little bit, threw one to the backstop. And if I remember right, I believe Coach held you guys were trying to bunt because it was hard to feel the ball at that point because the grass was so darn wet. And you probably felt pretty good about your chances about coming back. So he was, I think, hoping for a lightning strike somewhere so they called the game.
We
I
actually
think
had him on.
you hit it perfect.
We had him on for the last episode when we were talking with the guys, and he was great. He was a really good sport, and we were obviously messing with him a little bit, but it was great to hear his perspective from the other side of that. But when we were texting in that, Lena, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to ask you about this." So,
Well, I know I went back and read the article. I found the article because I don't remember a whole lot. And I know one of his quotes was, "Well, we were hoping that it went the full game, but I don't know about that."
Not too sure about that, Quick Straw.
He couldn't get up to the bus quick enough, Lynn.
Yeah,
Right?
you're exactly right.
So obviously, Tom and Rick, you've been around this group of guys for quite a while. What do you remember about dealing with the local media when you guys, and you now still, Rick, coaching all those years?
Back then, Tom would never let me talk to you guys, so I didn't even know who you guys were. I didn't know anyone even existed up in that press box. So, Tom was afraid of what I'd say, probably.
He was coaxing you along a little bit at a time, right, Rick?
I think so, yes.
I think it was just grooming you for the head coaching gig there, Rick.
There you go.
It was easy, not to interrupt there, Ricky, but I'll let you go after me. But it was, we were the envy, as far as I'm concerned, the envy of not only the state or the local area, but the state of Ohio and the Midwest. I mean, we had our own media, a high school baseball team. I mean, almost every baseball game was in the paper covered. And if you guys weren't there, then I would write, or I call you, and then you'd take quotes, or whoever it was, Tim, Lynn, Bruce, forever, like you were at every game, and you were at a lot of games. And then we had at least 10 to 12 regular season radio games on, and then we had every tournament game on. And Goobs, you did the Acme tournament games for years. I mean,
Yep.
Acme and Shorty, both you guys, forever. So no one has that. And then obviously with Nate, to have him in the press box, we had the best. We were like ahead of the game with PA guys, Nate playing music and walk up stuff and all that stuff. Like we were the envy. I mean, we really were of all the things that we got that no one else had.
Not to mention, I also did some local video for the Acme games as well. So I was a very busy person come spring and summer seasons.
Nate, but we were very, very fortunate and very appreciative of everything you guys did for us, and like I said, and still do. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And Rick and I will tell these people across the state, coaches, and they go,
that's
"What?"
right. I was going to say the same thing. We'd go to clinics and talk about whatever. Every game's in the paper. They're on the radio, and they're like, "What? Your games are on the radio?" We're like, "Oh yeah, about half of them." And every game's in the newspaper. They're like, "My God, if we get a box score in our newspaper, it's a miracle." I mean, it's kind of like you get so used to it, you just think everyone has it. You don't realize how spoiled you are until you talk to other people, and then you kind of sit back and go, "Oh my God, we really are lucky."
Yeah. I mean, it was like, and the same thing with, up until like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not sure what it is. I'm no longer doing radio, but we can go across the board. Every high school football game at Defiance was covered for 60 years. Every high school basketball game at Defiance was covered for 50 years. That stopped like 2 or 3 years ago of every game cover. I remember doing that, like, what? We're not doing all the Defiance games? And And obviously, I remember the days of doing the radio. I know we're talking about something else, but when I did a couple of games before I came to Defiance, and then Adam asked me to help him out a year or two once I was here, and I worked with Adam on the radio, and he was doing every high school basketball game and every college game. I remember Goose would be driving back from Hanover and saying, "Hey, I'm going to be getting there about game time for the high school basketball game." But that is dedication, like media,
dedication or
radio.
stupidity, one or the other.
Well appreciated by everyone. I tell you that, for all you guys, the work that all you guys have done for Defiance, and not just Defiance, the whole area. But unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
Well, I know we couldn't have done it without you guys. I mean, because as Tim and Lynn and Shorty all know, I mean, even Nate, that relationship you have with the coaches. If you don't have a good relationship, I mean, it's not going to be a good broadcast. It's not going to be fun. I mean, you were welcoming whenever we would call. I mean, you would come up. I remember, win or lose, you'd come up after the game for a post-game interview, and I used to always tell you, you don't have to come up, and you were coming up. And I mean, how many people would do that? And it just, it was a good relationship, and I think that's why it worked amongst all of us, because we all got along and we all worked together. We all understood, like you said, the bigger picture. I mean, no one in the state of Ohio, like you said, Tom, was getting the coverage that Defiance was getting at the time, and so we took a lot of pride in that. And I know Lynn and Tim did the same too.
I would say I think it was always an honor for me, because Tim usually covered Defiance baseball during my time at the Crescent. I think Bruce maybe did a little bit as well, but they would throw me a bone every once in a while and get a chance to cover the Bulldogs, and I always felt honored, and it felt like you were covering, I don't know, something bigger than high school baseball, just because of what Tom and his crew had built out there. It was something special, and you just got a different feel every time you walked into that ballpark. I felt like, and it was an honor to cover those guys, and they're always very cordial, win or lose. And if I remember right, that day, I think going into that game, there was kind of a sense that Walpole could finally end this streak, and I felt a little pressure. Like, I don't want to be the guy covering this game end.
Well, then why'd you take the assignment, Lynn?
Yeah, because I'm going to take the heat, and I did. The next morning, I walked into the Crescent, and I've been in counseling for the last 10 years from that day.
You didn't want to be the guy covering it. Hell, I didn't want to be the guy coaching it.
Hell, I didn't even want to be the guy who did PA for it.
See, the streak could be over like 200 games in a row now.
Yeah, if
it wasn't for
right? Yeah, no, we were ribbing him pretty good that day. There's no doubt about it.
Tim was waiting for me at the door that day. Actually,
I can only imagine you walking into the Crescent,
unlocking the door. Hey, Lynn, come on in. Chuck and I had moved to news by then, and it was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, one job, Lynn, one job.
I even remember going back even further, the Tom Jeffrey days.
Yes.
Summer Acme games. I think it was down in Greenville the one year, and Tyler Burgoon was pitching for you, Coach. And it was kind of raining, and I didn't want to sit out in the rain. In the press box, the area, you couldn't really see the field too well, but it was like he was just striking everybody out. And I can't remember who you guys were playing, but the other pitcher was striking everybody out too. I think they both had, I don't know, 12 or 15 strikeouts apiece, and there wasn't much to really watch during that game.
Like those quick games, Lynn.
Yeah, it was quick. I think it was like 45 minutes or an hour.
And I know Lynn will agree with me on this, because I know, like, after the games were over, us newspaper guys always had to wait for Tom to go and talk to the radio, because they only had so much time. You know what I mean? So we'd be down there talking to the players and talking to the other coaches and stuff, and we're like, dang man, what are they doing up there? Is Tom ever coming back? Like, the field's going to be covered and done by the time they're done with him.
Yeah, and I always did go to the radio first. I did go to the radio first.
Yeah. Well, it made
warm
sense.
up in the press box. That's why
you
don't go anywhere.
Warm
Warm
up,
up.
right? Yeah.
And it was always fun to go to games too, because of Shorty and Goobs and Nate. Yeah. You just look forward to it every time you got a chance to go to a game that included those guys, because you guys are all such good guys, and Part of the job was the relationships you build, and you guys are a part of that. And can't thank you enough for the memories. And couldn't wouldn't trade them for the world.
Well, it was all about having fun. And when you got a good product, you can have a lot more fun. And I think, like I said, with Adam and I and Nate
Yeah.
sitting at the other end, we always had to make sure we had a buffer, whether it was Timmy or Lynn had to sit in between us as a buffer. Because I know Goob was always on the right side,
All right.
and Nate was clear over on the other side.
Yeah.
And you know, some of the conversations were, I don't know, it may not be podcast worthy, but in some areas, yeah.
Well,
But
Nate
Yeah.
was ornery
yeah,
back
it,
in
it
those
was.
days, Shorty. Nate was ornery back in those days.
Oh, geez, yeah, we couldn't tame him down. He was just, yeah.
Wild.
You know,
Nice.
Shorty, I always say when I first came over to Defiance, my grandma was probably 90 or 91, and she'd listen to every game. And I'd go visit her, and she'd be like, I don't know why that guy has to make fun of you every game, Rick. And I'm like, it's okay, Grandma. We're friends. He's just
Yeah.
joking around. And she'd be like, well, I don't like it.
I always like to at least mention what you were wearing that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
You would always.
And
If
yeah.
there was a foul ball, right, guys? Oh my gosh, you
Oh.
guys! Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't even try for it. I
He
mean, it
wouldn't
was,
even move. Wouldn't even move.
Yep. Yep.
But in Rick's defense, though, he did have that really thick winter coat on.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if he could move. It was so
Right.
thick. And
I was like little Randy in A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A line drive wouldn't have knocked him down. It would just bounced right off of him.
Right.
So,
And
but
it's
the
only
mitt,
worse
the,
nowadays.
the mittens were probably a bit much. So but
What did we call? Rick, I think Goobs and Shorty called you the Nook of the North or something like that.
I think that was all short. That was Shorty's nickname, and we
Yeah.
went with it.
the Northman.
oh, there were a lot of fun times up.
I mean,
up
in the
there.
old press box, and Tim, you know this, Len, you do too. I mean, it was cold. That was not
Yes.
pleasant up
Oh.
there, and you're like rubbing up next to each other, and the teams from the Western Buckeye League were 45 minutes late to the game, and you're grumpy, and it's just, so you had to find a way to have some fun up there. So
I think what
Luckily
I
now.
really appreciated about it was, you would have you guys would have your notes. Lynn can attest to this. We would have our notes, and something would happen, and I would look at my notes, and you guys would look at your notes, and we'd be like passing notes back and forth to each other, like, oh, I better write this down, or hey, you guys are going to say this on the radio, or whatever the case may be. And I just think that it was a lot of fun in that regard. That we weren't in competition. We were there to help each other and
yeah.
make it
Yeah.
great for everyone. Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
other media outlets we found as we started going, further down the tournament trail. You'd talk with other media outlets and everything, and they could never really understand that it wasn't like you said, we weren't competing with you. We were all there together for the same thing. We all got along. We all helped each other. And yeah, they never really understood that for the longest time.
I
I
can
always-
share this. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead. Sorry.
All I know is get a dirty look from Goobs, more from Goobs than Shorty. On the games I'd come up afterwards, and we may have had like a 9-0 lead in the fourth inning.
Don't do
Oh,
And then the game ends up going 7 in another hour and a half.
Hey, you saw me, but everyone else, because it was like getting into like the fifth inning, into the or it was like the bottom of the fourth, and you're up 9-0, and everyone's looking at each other, and it's like he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it, and then all of a sudden the pinch hit kids come in, and it's just like you son of a.
it was like you were.
And then all of a sudden it was 9-1, and it was like, oh.
I'd walk
3
up
more innings.
I'd walk up those stairs, and first thing I'd look at Goobs, he just like this.
Yeah, but it was really good that it was good that we were doing radio and not TV because the looks could kill.
Amen, my
Oh,
Oh
friend.
yeah,
Well, the
it was like,
question is, who would get more mad? Would it be Goobs or Donnie Lee doing the bases, yelling at
yeah.
Oh,
Lee,
yeah.
"Why the hell is Tom pinch hitting?"
yeah.
It's out of my control.
Oh,
So much
some
fun.
good
So
stuff.
much fun.
Well, let's talk about the streak a little bit, guys. I mean,
Yes.
we've had every senior class on from 6 to 14, and it was amazing how when we talked about the games that they didn't remember the wins as much as they did. You know, there'd be close games, obviously, that they would remember or comebacks, but like games that they just won or they remembered the losses, you know, and when we got into the tournament, if that happened. And it's just like, when you guys think about 72 straight WBL wins, what comes to mind for you? Maybe let's start with you, Nate. I mean, you were at probably all those games. I mean, you were on the road, you were at home. I mean,
I tell you what, a streak that long just does not happen by accident. It happens with people, and we had some good quality people representing Defiance High School on our baseball team. I just it just boggled my mind as we started going down the road as far as the amount of games that we have won in a row in the WBL. It'd be like 20 in a row, 30 in a row, 40 in a row. I in I didn't think in my wildest dreams it would ever get up to 72, but that shows you the commitment of not only the players but the coaches as well. And that was just a phenomenal streak that happened in between the years of 2006 and 2014.
yeah, Adam, Shorty, you
Well,
guys
the
want to
one
hop in
thing that
here?
I remember that it was really, I mean, we wanted to, and when Shorty and I would talk about this, you know, we wanted to make sure people understood it was more than just a number. I mean, the number was impressive, but we tried to get people to understand that to do something like this compared to the other sports, because how many times, how many years, well, like you were even mentioning with the Wapak game, you had weather issues. I mean, a game could just be cut
Yeah.
off with, you know, half an inning left. How many years did you play tournament games? And then after the tournament games, you had to make up league games. And we all know tournament was the, you know, the primary goal at that point. So I think it's a testament to, you know, just the depth. I mean, it just, to me, that's the amazing thing. I mean, and let's just be honest. I mean, this isn't, you know, Sisters of the Poor League. I mean, the Western Buckeye League is one of the best baseball leagues in the state. And I mean, to do that under those circumstances for that length of time, I mean, it's still to this day, it's truly remarkable.
Shorty, anything
Yeah,
you want to add to that? Go ahead.
yeah. I think you know, Goob hit that pretty good. Um, because you go from, you know, the start of the streak, 06, 07, and you run it to 14, and you know, throughout that all those years, there was different players. It wasn't the same group, you know. So each one of those groups, you know, luckily we had, you know, a lot of kids that would start as sophomores or juniors or even sometimes have to wait till their senior year and then they turn it on like a, you know, like a light, and they're lights out all year. I mean, that we see that all the time and still see it today. But when you have those group of kids that was able to do that year to year, and you know, they're probably not even listening to, I mean, they don't even know that it's like, you know, 40 and 0 over whatever, you know. And I remember seeing one of the earlier podcasts, you know, Rick said we didn't even talk about it amongst coaches much until it was about 40 in a row. And that's pretty cool, you know, because the coaches are the ones that really like it. You know, the kids just play it and execute it, you know. So that was always the fun thing, you know, just it was just different groups, you know. But then you have that one day that comes up and bites you. You know, we had won quite a few during that streak, you know, one-run games, bottom of the seventh, walk-offs or whatever the case may be. That is so tough, you know. I mean, and you even seen like high school football teams did that before. Like Hudson, Michigan, you do some of that research. Those cats went like 80-0. And that wasn't league. That was just regular season. So I mean, it's what you put out there, for your kids to grasp and win every game if you can, and these guys here at Defiance, they just know how to do it, and like I said, Tom and Rick and the rest of just kind of made it easy for the kids to just go do their thing, and bring in those wins. So that was great.
Now, Lenny, I know over the course of this streak, obviously working together every morning, beginning in there, we would just talk about, man, like you were talking about, Tim, the one run games or the comebacks, and like I can't believe they didn't get them and stuff like that. If you could, Lynn, talk about some of those fun conversations that we had up in the office, just talking
Yeah.
about, and
Well,
it's just
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you'd come in the next morning, or I'd come in the next morning, and we'd start talking about the Defiance game. They won, 1-0 or 2-1, and we're out hit 12-2, and we go through how they won the game. And you should be amazed, but you weren't, because it was kind of the Defiance way. They did the little things, and that's in regards to Coach Held and Rick and what they upheld in the program, and it goes back to Greg Enselman. There was a standard there, and Tom and his coaching staff with Rick, they carried that on. There was just an expectation they were going to win games, and now covering football is my main sport. You think of the MAC schools, the Marion locals, and the Coldwaters, and they never make mistakes, and that was kind of the standard with coach held teams. They never made little mistakes. They did the little things. You think of the blocking and the tackling that the MAC schools do, the bunting, the pitching, moving a runner over, stealing. They did all that stuff, and that's why they won all those games. And I never remember them, a school could get pretty darn excited about winning all those games in a row and the state championships. And I never remember Tom or his coaching staff ever being too high or braggadocious about what they did. They were always down to earth, and it was just the expectation, and I respect the heck out of them for it.
So,
Well,
Tom, and go ahead, Tom.
yeah. Well, it warms my heart because of the kind words you guys are saying, but it really warms my heart when everyone shared with this. That's what's cool. Like, it's no fun winning by yourself or having success by yourself. It's like a team and a community and the media. And a lot of times you don't know that when you're coaching. Like, it's things like this that you find out that people really were talking about, or and sharing in on that success. And that's what's beautiful. That's why the streak has always been really has meant a lot to me, because it wasn't one team and 15 guys or 20 guys. It was 8 years of guys that get to share. They get to share that success. Like you see teams that win a state championship, awesome. They get to share that, but they only get to share it with a few teammates. Other guys part of the program are all right. That's cool. We were part of a program that won these, but years, when you think of the 2014 guys, they were in fourth grade in '06. And so for that to really put into terms of how long it was, but the best part to me is the sharing of success, and no matter what, it's just like no different than when I play golf. I don't like play golf. I like play golf. I like play 2-man scramble. I like play team stuff. I like to share. Like, let's win together. Like, who cares? Nobody gives a crap if you win. That drives me nuts to say, hey, I shot a 39 last night. I don't give a crap what how you shot last night. You know what I mean? Like, it's a team success is so much more fun to be part of.
It is.
And that's just what's made it cool. Especially to hear that you guys actually you enjoyed it. Like, you enjoyed covering it. And that really means a lot. That really means a lot.
And Tim, I know you covered a lot of the games, but when I was not, I know I'd cover a handful or so a year, but even when I wasn't covering a game, I'd turn on Goobs and Shorty to listen, because you want to know how the Bulldogs did. It was just part of the community.
Yep. So, Rick, I like what you have been saying all along that, your current players have been going back and watching the podcast and
Mhm.
talking about some of these guys. If you could share a little bit about what those guys have said, the current players about what we've been talking about here, because I think that's some good stuff.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing for them is actually putting a face to names. They've heard of these guys. We talk about them, so now they're actually um, seeing them. The kind of the message that I always give to them about Defiance baseball is now being brought to life from someone else. I think them hearing that those guys have been doing the same things that we're still doing, I think means a lot to them. It's been really neat just to listen to our current guys asking questions, wanting to know different things, asking about maybe some players who they hadn't heard of before, but were obviously integral parts. So I think it's been kind of cool for them to kind of tie in, the history of Defiance baseball.
Anybody have any moments that stick out in their memory that they would like to share, or a funny story before we continue on about the streak itself? Or
Well, I still remember the last game of the streak coming to an end when it finally ended. I still remember you guys were talking about the weather issues that happened during that game against Wapak. I still remember to this day not only me being upset, but I kept hearing fans outside the press box. They weren't happy with the decision to call it because they felt that league games had to go all 7 innings, and according to WBL rules, they do not have to. And I just wish someday we'll get all 7 innings game to complete a WBL game. You know what I'm saying? Get all 7 innings in, not aborting it. I just feel that's a better way to go, and I wish someday the league will come to that. And I will never forget that day how upset I was about losing the streak.
no,
Maybe we
obviously.
should give Josh Petersad's phone number out on this, and everyone can call him since he was the only
Yeah,
home plate umpire that banged the game for
I,
You
So
know, and the other
I've
thing, Nate, you
go
said,
ahead.
do you want to get these rules changed? Now that Coach Held's retired, I think he should become the commissioner of the WBL and change some things. I
that
think
wouldn't
it'd
be
be a
a
great
bad
idea.
idea.
I think it would be.
Start a
Not until he
campaign.
gets the other knee fixed.
Yeah. So I obviously asked Lynn at the start of this about his memories of that day. Shorty and Adam, what do you remember about the day that the streak came to an end?
Why? I think I remember, watching the weather on your phone. It's
Yes,
just like, oh my gosh, are we gonna get it, or is it gonna stay south, or whatever? And yeah, it wasn't. I mean, things just weren't going the way that they normally do. So you knew that something is not going to go well here, and it was, like I said, it's a 4-2 final, at the end of the game and so forth. So it was, you just knew, or you had that feeling that something was gonna, pardon the pun, throw a curveball at us,
right.
and it just, that's just the way it is. But you start another streak after that,
What people don't realize is one of Shorty's many talents was he could have gotten a master's degree in like meteorology, because it would start like at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd start getting
Yeah.
messages, or he'd stop in and be like, "Here, look at this, what I have on my phone, and it's supposed to be here, and I think we got to get." It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I haven't even talked to Coach Held yet. I haven't even put together my notes for the game. And Shorty's
Right.
like, I think we got to get, those runs in before the third inning, because then it's going to get a little dicey for it. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, it always happened. He just had a finger for that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Love it. That's
Uh,
awesome.
that's some good stuff. Any games that stick out to you guys
Uh,
along the streak? I know we talked about the falling behind Walpock pretty big and coming back, and that was a home game. That was one of the more fun ones, and some of the 1-0 games against Shawnee, and just
Well,
anything like that stick out to you guys?
I, I, I was gonna say, and obviously I've been on every podcast talking about that, so they can chime in here. But I think going back in each of these, I realize how many times we could have easily lost. I mean, it seemed like each episode there were two or three games, and you're like, "Geez, how'd we pull that one out?" So it's been really cool, really going back through and going through every game and seeing all that and kind of reliving that, but also realizing how each year there were two or three times it could have ended.
Well, I tell you another thing. You look, just looking through some of the stats and the box scores. That 4 days before that, you played Ottawa Glandorf, and it went 12 innings where you guys
Mm-hmm.
pulled off that
yeah,
that run, to take that 2-1 lead, and there wasn't a lot of hitting going on. I mean, it was, we had 9 hits and they had 8, so I mean everything was just real close, and that was a pretty good Ottawa Glandorf team too, because they were. At that
Yeah.
time they were 10-4, and they had some really good dudes there, and that's
Mm-hmm.
another one of those
yeah,
one-run games that could have went the other way real easy.
Absolutely.
That was a 12 inning game that the
Yep.
Schimler kid who ended up going to University of Cincinnati pitched the first 10, and we were just hoping
Yeah.
we could get him out because we knew we weren't going to score. Like, we weren't touching, no chance. He was throwing strikes. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't get a guy on, and so we just said, God, we just gotta get to the 11th to get this guy out of here, man, to have a chance. And fortunately, won. I will say with the streak, the Walpog game, I never really ever went into a game. I was more concerned about winning that game for the league, like, not about the streak. You know what I mean? Like, we lost that game to Walpog. Man, that put us one behind the chance to win the league title that year. Now, when it was over, and then you reflect, the only sad part I felt for the guys was that that streak had to end where it wasn't finished on the field, in a regulation. But
yes,
that stuff happens because I'll never forget that it was like 3 or 4 years before that. We were down at Bath, and the same thing happened, and we were ahead, and rain came in. Coach Ruben and I, we didn't know the rules. We just assumed we had to finish the game. And so basically it was like a 2-1 game or something, fifth inning. And the next day, and we get the win. So it can work both ways. And we went after that game, that year, we went to the athletic, all 10 of us WPL coaches went to the athletic directors to put in the policy all league games are suspended games. And if the team from behind, like it's 8-0 in the bottom of the sixth or 9-0, they could choose to say we're not coming back to finish it, but they wouldn't vote it in. So, but it's happened to other teams too. It just happened to us on that day, on that streak, but it's happened to other teams that were, to get a chance to finish it.
Tom and Rick, maybe I just listening to you talk about the OG game, and you knew that it wasn't going to happen in the first 10 innings. And I'm sure that wasn't the only game that you guys had where early on you were like, we're going to have to. I mean, did it change your approach to things? I mean, did you sit there I know you always tried to scratch off something early, I mean, you wanted to get that first run across, but I mean, it's neat to hear you guys say that you knew that you were not going to touch this kid, so you just had to do anything you can to get him out of there.
Well, Rick can answer that one because he knows when we thought the streak was going to end a couple of years before that.
Oh yeah, at Kenton.
oh yes, Kenton.
Yeah, well, usually when that happens, Goobs, it's usually Tom yelling at me, wondering what the hell my hitters are doing. So
it's funny how he always reminded us that you were the hitting coach in those first
absolutely.
innings.
Yeah. So I wanted to see it right here before he did. Like, well, if Rick knew what the hell he was doing, we would have scored 3 in the third. But
Oh, that's
Ouch.
some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, if to answer your question on those, you try to simplify it for guys. Obviously, a guy that's a strikeout pitcher, we try to preach, don't get to two strikes, don't let him get to his strikeout pitch. Aggressive, try to find ways just to put it in play, see, make them make plays, try to get a leadoff guy on so we can bunt. Just try to simplify it for the guys and just try to find the easiest way, which is never easy, but to try to scratch out a run.
Yeah.
I think a perfect example of that is in the 13 tournament run. The no, you guys get no hit and win 1-0. If you guys
Central
remember.
Catholic.
wasn't it?
Central Catholic, yeah. I mean, we had a fun time talking about that game, but I mean, Adam and Shorty, you guys were there. I mean, you're just
Well,
thinking.
the best part about that is that we had those ridiculous post-game awards, and those that know me,
I was just gonna
well,
say that.
no,
Yes.
I'm not a fan of post-game awards. And one of the awards we had was the slugger of the game, and we had to give it to somebody, to a team that had won a game without getting a hit.
You,
Yeah.
I just remember looking at
Goobs.
it like, what do we do?
I'll never
Yeah.
forget it because you gave it to Boo Sierra because he was the pinch runner on second base that scored
Yeah.
on the air. The slugger of the game.
He scored the
We
run.
didn't even get
Yeah.
the pinch runner.
He didn't even get on base. We pinch ran him. He went
Oh, we
in.
were just. Oh, I remember that. Yep.
We
Over
were
in our-
well, we were going to give it to Rick. We were going to give it to Rick just based on, but yeah, that fell through. Yeah, so
I tell that story all the time.
Oh,
All the time I tell it.
I do too. It's just that's just. Oh, I just wasn't a fan of those sorts of things to begin
Yeah.
with, and but I understood them. But yeah, I remember that one just sitting at Archbold with Shorty, just like, what are we doing? I mean,
What are we doing? You know?
They
well,
got no
we
hit.
just
I know
we just
we get this
close
slugger.
your eyes and you know, point out on the roster and whoever.
Could have been anyone.
Congratulations. You know,
What did they get?
Congratulations, Boo! You got a free pizza.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a large pizza from Marco's or something.
Did they get a certificate too? He probably
Yeah,
has
he
that
did.
He
framed.
got a
It's probably
certificate,
framed it
yeah.
on his mantle, right?
I seen it on eBay. It was sold.
Yeah, it was- Oh, that is some good stuff. I mean, that,
and Tim, you may
Somebody,
remember Strikeout Guy, Tim?
Oh,
oh yes.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
my gosh. Oh, it was a great idea that just backfired like you would not believe.
Yes.
You-
yeah.
So we tried to find new ways to make revenue, and so we got it sponsored that every time there was a strikeout, it was brought to you by, like it was Say Cellular. And I had
Yes.
like 2 lines that they gave me. So, and don't forget, there's a swing and a miss, strike 3. And don't forget, you'll never strike out with Say
Yeah.
Cellular. Okay, so this is back in the day. We first started that when Chad was,
Oh, geez.
I mean,
Yes.
10, the games he pitched were 5-inning games, 15 outs, and he'd strike out 13. So it was like you're saying it 3 times every inning. It just got.
Yeah.
We'd be
Department of
between-
Redundancy Department.
We'd be between innings, and Adam would just look over and go, "Man, they're getting their money's worth with this broadcast."
We both had to go to counseling after that.
Oh my god!
It was pretty terrible.
Damn,
my
and Shorty,
gosh.
could you imagine being in my shoes, having to hear that every single game?
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh. Yes.
Yeah. It was nuts.
It was. There was some good times up in that press box, though. A lot of laughter.
I like hearing the
man.
media stories. What's some other funny stories you guys had over those years? I like those kind of stuff.
Okay, so here's a weather one for you. So,
Okay, yeah, I love hearing these.
So the regional, when it used to be at Galleon, and
Yes.
everyone's face. Okay, that's all you need to say. We all understood what we were dealing with. We got to Galleon. They, you guys played on the Friday night in the second game against Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. So first off, you had the buzz that LeBron was going to be there, and we were driving it over. And I remember just thinking to ourselves, like, why is he coming to Galleon to watch his baseball team play? It's not happening. So yeah, I don't know. I think Tim, you might have been there. I'm not.
Yeah,
exactly
I was
sure.
there. Yeah.
But you remember, we got there the first game. was down. It was in the bottom of the seventh with 2 outs, and then the heavens opened up, and it rained so hard, and we just sat there as the water. They just waited for it to drain off the field, and that was like an hour and a half, almost a 2-hour delay in between. And the lights there were like Little League Park.
Oh, they're
Like,
terrible.
I mean, we knew right then that it was over, but it was.
Yeah.
You had to turn around the next day and come back, and so just little things like that.
Do you remember how they were taking the water off the field? They had people out there with
Little
Dixie
cups.
cups.
And
Dixie cups.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a regional tournament. They're using Dixie cups to get the water off the field.
Oh.
And I just remember that we were just sitting there going, is this for real? Like this, like, wow. That was
every year down there. It was something. It was Dixie
awful.
cups. They had one bag
awful.
of Diamond Dry. One bag of Diamond Dry.
One
The whole
bag?
regional tournament. One bag. And so they used Dixie cups. And they would walk out there in puddles like this and put a Dixie cup in there. I think it was going to work. Another year, the scoreboard didn't work. Another year, the lights didn't work, so we couldn't finish. And another year, they were mowing the outfield during infield. Like, and the outfield was like this high, and we're taking infield, and the mower's going around in between us.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my
Every
goodness gracious.
Lenny, that place was awful. I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh.
If anyone's
stories.
watching,
Wasn't
I don't care. I don't care.
Wasn't there an issue the one year that because it was rescheduled? Did you miss Sam Hornish or
I missed it? Yeah, I missed going into the Indy 500 in 05
right.
because the game stretched into Sunday.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It was supposed to be Friday. Thank God he didn't win it that year. I was there in 06 when he won it, but yeah, so I missed the Indy 500 in 05. And then that team ended up losing to Norton.
Yeah.
Norton.
that 05 team. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little. Adam, I like to tell this story. After they won it in 13, I didn't know it at the time, but that was the last game that I covered. You had to get on the air and talk a little bit because you're waiting for them and they were doing the awards and everything. And so you had me on the radio, and we shared this with the 12 team. We were just talking about, can you believe that, we would have thought the 12 team would have been the one that would have won state. And then, we were talking about guys coming out of nowhere, especially Nuxie. But,
Wow.
I just had so much fun, just you and me just riffing on the radio, talking about Defiance baseball while you were waiting to interview these guys. And just, you didn't have to do that. And I just wanted to let you know all these years later, I still tell that story and I still appreciate it. So,
That's nice of you to say. You don't want to use cliches too much because then I think they lose meaning and everything. But it was a family. I mean, as you're hanging out with these people, 3, 4, sometimes 5, 6 hours a day, 2-3 times a week. You're all miserable in a cold. It's 30 degrees. I mean, we did the one game over at Carter Park when they played Shorty knows right away.
I'm cold already.
Wapakoneta, and it was 34 degrees, and it was snowing, and they didn't have a press box for us, so we just sat outside. I mean, you can't help, and we were all there. I mean, you can't help but
miserable.
But you start sharing stories, and Tim during a rain delay, and how many times would be out there, and it's like you're ready to go, and Defiance goes through their warm ups, and then you look out in the parking lot, and you don't see another bus, and you're just like, son of a gun, they're going to be late again, and you just wait and wait. So so a lot of good times, that's for sure.
Kind of like the waiting on the varsity basketball game, and it's 42-41 or 42-40. With less than a minute to go in the JV game. Please don't go into overtime.
Yes.
Yeah. Win it or lose it.
Yeah.
Tom, you remember so really quick. Remember the couple of years, and this is something that people never understand, and Shorty will understand this. So Tom started doing basketball with us, and we took the little blue car to St. Mary's. And we were so hungry before the game, but they didn't have it. All they had was like popcorn and pop, but we wanted a sandwich. So we got a program that had a buy one, get one free Big Mac. So we found McDonald's, and we couldn't find our way back to the gym. And and all I remember is Held sitting there going, "How many Western Buckeye League games have you done in your career? You don't know." And I was like, "Dude, Shorty drives everywhere. I fall asleep all the time." We made it back, and it was like 2 minutes before varsity. Yeah, so those are the stories, Tim, that I remember most about,
Oh,
that time. And
oh, just
So
County
funny.
Road, County Road 19 was Bruce gave me the shortcut. You get on County Road 19, you stay on
Oh,
this side of the river, it'll take you to Elida, it'll take you to Shawnee, and it'll take you to Wapakoneta. And it was beautiful every
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
It's just, just all those WBL trips. I mean, good
Especially
times.
the ones down to Kenton and Wapakoneta. Those are the two farthest trips down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I usually drove that in record time.
well, you had a free pass. We'd always sit down, and
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Shorty, you got it," and he'd pull out his badge and just set it on the dash and be like, we gotta get out of jail free card."
Right?
Since this
But
is a meeting,
I'd always ask Tom whenever we do like the pregame interview, like especially early on, like when we would do a game and I didn't really know the other coach very well, and I'd always ask you, is he a good guy? And his answer was always the same. He's a baseball guy. They're all good guys.
His answers changed a little over the year because now it's he drinks beer. He's a good guy.
Yeah, there you go.
does he drink beer? Oh, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Hey, Lenny, did you ever cover any away games when you were doing it back in the day?
I think I went to St. Mary's once.
Oh God.
I think I went I know I went to OG because it was cold as heck that night. And I don't think it was the 12-inning game. But it was close. It was a close game. That was later on in my career, I believe. And I may have went to Walpock a time or two.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you got to
A
experience some of
handful.
those
Few.
fun
Yeah. Few. Yeah.
some
Oh,
of
yeah.
those fun road trips. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's
the
always
thing-
amazing because they made all those long bus trips and they kept the streak going. And it's hard to do.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is if I covered football and baseball. So if you were at St. Mary's for football, you were going to be home with St. Mary's. So it was always opposite. And then, it would roll over that next year and you'd be like, well, I mean, it wasn't hard to figure out where you were going, but yeah, it was, yeah, you were going to hit, you were going to hit every spot. You were going to go to every WBL school if you covered those two sports. So
Yeah, if you're at home for football, then you were going to be at home for baseball in the WBL. And then the next year, those would be opposite.
yeah.
One of the things we talked about was, just talking about the streak a little bit, kind of something that played kind of off of that. I still think that one of the most amazing things was the year that you guys didn't have a field.
Oh, yes.
I remember,
Was that
when the
15?
reality was setting in, it was like, well, where are they going to play all their games?
Yeah,
And to go through an entire season, not having a home game, I would think routines thrown out the window. I mean, everything, every game was a little different. That to
If
me,
if I remember correctly, that was in 2016 where they didn't have a field, because the next year, 2017, was the first year that we played at the current varsity baseball field.
That's a fact, Nate. Good job, buddy.
The other thing,
and you won state.
We didn't know what we were doing each day, Goobs. Like, we didn't know where we were practicing. Like, we practiced on the football
we practiced
one
at
day, Beal one day, college one day, whatever.
The thing about that team too is they embraced it. I mean, we'd get on the bus and first song they would play is "On the Road Again" by Willie Nelson. And then when we'd get back into town, they'd play "The Boys Are Back in Town." I mean, so they embraced it, which made it really cool. But I can remember the one week we went to Toledo on a Monday, Walpock on a Tuesday, like back to Toledo on Thursday, and it was like Shawnee on Friday. And I mean, obviously, if you know Tom, we never give days off. And I remember pulling in on Friday, and he's like, "I'm freaking exhausted, and I haven't even played." He's like, "These boys have got to be dry. Like, we got to give them the weekend off." He's like, "They have got to be exhausted."
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. The one thing I always look forward to going up and not only just talking on the radio after the game with Goobs and Shorty, but Shorty always had a prize for me every day when I went up there too. He always had a dip. He always had a dip for me, a rally dip. Actually, it wasn't a rally dip at that point; it was a winning dip. But
That's right.
I can say it now. I'm retired now. So.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I haven't had one since the night I got sick.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Good idea.
I don't think Mama would be too happy about that.
No, I don't think so either, Quick Straw.
Now, before we wrap this up, guys, is there anything else that you would like to say about the streak? Anything at all? I mean, it's been a great 10 episode run here. We've had a lot of fun.
I think the big thing for me was, just doing it for, doing the broadcast for so long. And then, when the streak started, I mean, you really didn't know it was a streak until, you got to about 2009, 10, around in there. But, like I said, just the guys from each of those teams were, I mean, I still can see those guys swing a bat, throw, and throw. Guys like, well, back in, I got a couple notes. Back in the 2009 season, we ended up 24-4. And the guy that led the whole team in hitting was Craig Gutman, 495. And he had seven home runs that year.
Yeah.
So, it's just stuff like that. Ziegler, his run in, 2011, 12, 13, he really developed into one heck of a pitcher. Burgoon and all those guys, just the development from what you guys were able to do with them that, got them to that little next level. Not everybody can do that. They had the work ethics to do that, but they did have to have that structure that you guys instilled in them throughout their high school time.
No, I would be remiss if I didn't mention. I don't know if you guys saw here, but the guy in the middle here was just recently named to the National High School Baseball Hall of Fame for his career. Did you guys? Any of you guys see that? Or
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Nate's in the middle.
Coombs is in my middle.
He's all right. So you're in the middle. You're in the middle of my feed, Tom. But congratulations.
We're all going in together. All right.
That's some good stuff.
That's
Santa
awesome.
Maria.
Yeah. Now there was something else that we were supposed to talk about, Tom. What year was it that Rick was named assistant coach of the year? Was that the 13 season or
2013?
Yeah?
Yes. Actually, he could have been assistant coach of the year every year. He really wasn't ever an assistant.
Yeah.
We were co-coaches for the entire time. One guy had the title, the other guy had the other title. Every decision we made, every day we talked about everything. It was a true team. And like I said, the Hall of Fame stuff are team awards. But Rick, if I go in the Hall of Fame, in my mind, Rick's going in too because we did everything together. And not just it's the players, it's everybody. But I mean, those are great recognitions. But to share, like I said before, it's been such an honor to be part of a program like Defiance. This program was way good before me, and I got that opportunity to be a piece of that for a few years and follow what I think the guy who I learned a lot from, Coach Insom, on the other side of the other dugout. Learned so much from him, demeanor and control and discipline and development, and so then to have that opportunity to come to Defiance and keep it at the same level was a true honor. And like I said, and then to share it with the media like you guys is special. It is so special, and the players obviously in the community and the DBA, the Little League staff, and just everyone. It's just cool. It's really cool what we have here, and believe me, it's appreciated and has never been taken for granted. So I thank you all for being part of that.
Well, I won't speak for everyone else, but I know that the one thing that we really appreciated, Shorty and I, with the radio was the access that you gave us. I mean, never once did either of you, say, I don't have time for this right now. I mean, you both, during the day, if we need like time, you would call me during class for, pregame stuff. And we could shoot you an email and say, hey, we haven't had your lineup yet, anything like that. And you'd say, well, here's what we're thinking, and everything like that. And there's a trust that goes along with that. Because I mean, we found that when we'd start doing, and Tim and Lynn, I'm sure you are aware of this, when you'd start getting outside of our area and you'd start playing like a Jonathan Alder or something, and you'd be like, hey, can I get stats from you? And they were always like, well, what are you going to do with those stats? Are you going to, and I'm not saying that they did that, but I'm just
right,
for that
right.
example.
No, right.
And then so I remember early on I would be like, Tom, this is what people are telling me, and you would always be like, dude, just tell them to go to the damn website. We got 35 pages of stats on there and everything. But it was just that whole, and I think that we talk about the relationships that we all had with one another, and whether it was between us and you guys, or Tim and Lynn and Shorty and I up in the booth, and even Nate, we'd all, it was a total team effort. And when you look back at it, I don't think we realized back then just how good we had it. And then something like this, you look back and you think to yourself, I mean, the streak was pretty impressive, but like you said, Tom, at the beginning, to do it with everyone and to share it with everyone. I mean, the players were even welcoming to us and everything, and that sort of thing. It was pretty neat and a pretty special time.
And one thing I will want to bring up to you guys is that I've always had lines ready for me. I had everything ready for me to go, whether it be on our side, on the Defiance side, or the visiting team. Anytime I've ever asked for any starting lineup, the coaches always had it there for me because I wanted to be prepared for the game and set for the game. I don't like rushing into anything. So having the cooperation of all the coaches, not just for Defiance, but the other side as well, that made it feel very special to me. And to listen to you and Shorty do the games on the radio when I was in the press box with you, that really meant a lot to me as well. And same with you and Lynn over at the Crescent News, Tim, just getting that kind of coverage. We have it second to none here in D-Town, and I really mean that.
I enjoy, like Adam was saying, enjoyed every minute of it. We just couldn't wait to get to the ballpark, even when it was cold. Okay, maybe but we knew we knew it was gonna be fun. We knew we're gonna watch a really good baseball team. We knew that we were gonna get up there, we were gonna laugh, and we were gonna have a good time. And then we just keep doing it. All right, next week we got two more. Let's do it. So it was a lot of fun.
And if those two coaches weren't fun, it wouldn't have been as fun, because we've all covered
absolutely.
teams and we've all covered coaches that are just ultra serious, over the top, and it's like, okay, come on now, let's but, I mean, they were fun. They were fun.
Absolutely.
Adam would be like, lighten up, Sparky,
Well, guys, before Rick, is there anything you wanted to add to that, or Lenny?
No, I mean, just the same. I appreciate you guys, and like we said at the beginning, we were spoiled by you guys, and we appreciate everything you guys did. And what Adam just finished with was, you don't really realize everything until you actually stop and take a look back. So I guess my biggest thing, the other thing is, Tim, thank you for doing this, because I have enjoyed this immensely. I really have. So I appreciate you doing this.
I'm glad that we ran into each other that night at the Clyde Theater.
A random concert in Fort Wayne.
In Fort Wayne. That's where the idea was born. And here we are. It's been a great 10 episodes. The guys coming on, everybody that's been on. It's just so much fun. And if there's anything I'm going to take from this is getting to share all of these stories. But I think it's jokey when laying in bed doing doing his episode. I don't know that I've heard any
I
more
said
talk about
so.
anything about that. That's the most talked about thing that I've heard.
So when you asked about the former players, I told you after that episode, 3 of them said, "Coach, we have 2 questions. Or 2 things? Why is Coach Keewan laying in bed? That is not what I thought Robbie Ziegler would look like."
Yeah.
I would just say,
Go ahead,
for
Lenny.
wrap up my part, you guys were a much larger part. I mean, I don't even want to say I was a part of any of this because I covered so few games, but Tim covered a ton, and Tim and Goobs, you guys, obviously covered almost all of their games. And Nate was there all the time, and he just mentioned how well prepared he was. Always prepared. Nate was always prepared. You guys were all prepared, and Tim covered Defiance baseball like it was a religion. I mean, he took so much pride into it every time he covered a new baseball season rolled around. And I would go out there every once in a while. They'd throw me a bone, and Coach Held and Rick were always so good to me. They could have brushed me off as just some young reporter that didn't really matter, but always respectful and class, all of you guys, and thankful for the memories. And Shorty was talking about the players, and man, you think back of all the Defiance greats, and you think of a play. I'm forgetting them, but they all had a big part in this. Even your 7, 8, 9 guys or somebody off the bench had a big part in your games, and it's just a awesome thing. And just thank you guys for all the memories and the way you treated me in the press box, Shorty and Nate and Goobs. Always looked forward to seeing you guys. I felt like you were family in the spring, and just grateful for the times that we had together.
Thanks.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Good
so
time.
much, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you, Lenny.
Thank you guys.
Well, guys, I guess it's time to wrap up 10 episodes and put the streak to bed. And thank you guys for coming on. Thank you to all the past players and coaches and Tom and Rick. I'm glad that we met that night and that we had a chance to do this. And maybe we'll come up with another idea in the future. But
yeah. Come up with an idea. I'll do it in a heartbeat because I enjoyed this. This was awesome. I will say that I've had guys from the 15 and 16 state team kind of throwing the idea out there. They want their own podcast of talking about their so I said, we'll see, boys.
We'll meet up again in December.
Yeah, that's right.
13, 15, and 16. Yeah.
There you go.
The last thing I got is good luck, Coach Weaver, in the 2026 team this spring. And let's go get another WBL title. And special good luck against Van Wert this year.
And Kenton.
I swear to God, if we lose to either of them, I'm texting both of you right away. You.
Yeah,
I may join in that text.
Yeah, I may have mentioned a time or two that you guys haven't lost to them, but hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Well, thanks again, guys, and again, thank you to everyone who took part in this. And 10 episodes up, 10 episodes down. Take care, guys.
A lot of love to you guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You guys too, man. Stay in touch, guys. Stay in touch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.